Hello, everybody. Welcome on back to Fantasy Football Futures. Today is Tuesday, November 23rd, coming off of Week 11 Fantasy Football NFL season. I'm Tyler, here with Tim.
What's up?
And today, on our episode, we're going to give you a little breakdown of some of the booms and busts that went on this weekend. And I feel like it was kind of, it's a weird week. It was a good weekend, I feel, for fantasy, but it was also, like, you had your highs, and then you had your really lows this week. So,
that is for sure.
It's tough. Football-wise, though, I feel like this is probably one of the better weekends of games that we've seen. Most points scored. We saw a lot of overs.
The noon games were very interesting. The afternoon were very low scoring, but
those games sucked.
Yeah. The noon,
Cowboys, Chiefs.
There was a lot going on. Packers, Vikings. That was a great game.
Yeah.
Ravens, Bears.
That was boring all the way through the
end.
Yeah, the last 5 minutes was good.
Yeah. Panthers football team.
That one. Noon slate was pretty decent. The 3 o'clock slate, we had what? Cardinals versus Seahawks. Seahawks look terrible. Russell Wilson looks brutal.
And the Chiefs' defense looks like they came alive. Cowboys.
I'm
not worried about that just because Cooper was out and then Lamb got hurt pretty early and then Zeke was a little beat up here and there. So
Dak looked weird.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about that. I think they're gonna.
That's what I know, especially with Thanksgiving coming up. The Thanksgiving games on Thursday, we got 3 of them. Bears, Lions. I think they kick it off. Then it goes Cowboys,
Saints.
No, it's Cowboys, Raiders.
Cowboys playing the Saints. Oh, Raiders, because I keep forgetting Cowboys,
Bills
Saints.
play Saints.
Cowboys, Saints is next Thursday. Cowboys play back Thursday, so I keep forgetting about that.
That's something to keep an eye out for there. Really, I don't know, good weekend. Not great for gambling purposes. I don't think I didn't win a single one.
I went 0 for 3.
Just a common trend I keep having this year, so just need to stick with college basketball. That's what it's looking like.
Actually, doing a little bit better with college football.
Yeah, college football's been nice. Big weekend, too, for college football rivalry week. But, yeah, let's jump into some of the news around the NFL this week. First things first, Adrian Peterson, he's released from the Titans today. So it's going to be, I think it's Collins back there with Foreman. They're leading the way. McNichols as well. I feel like you could kind of see this coming after he really wasn't getting any touches last week. So that's one. Then we have CeeDee Lamb. He's banged up. He's questionable for Thursday.
Yep, he has a chance.
Left the game early on Sunday. Left at halftime. It's just that short week. It's so tough to think about. I know Cooper's out for sure Thursday, but Lamb right now, they originally ruled him out, and then today they came back and said, like, well, it's a possibility he might be back. I would lean towards the fact that he's probably not playing this week.
Yeah, I don't think so. Just because on those Thursdays and concussions, they can just really linger for a very long time. So I don't see them doing that. Go look if he is available. Go pick up Gallup right now.
Yeah, I'll say Michael Gallup's going to be one. I think Zach Schultz might get involved more in the offense.
Dalton Schultz.
What did I say?
You said Zach Schultz.
I don't know. Yeah, Dalton Schultz should get involved in the offense more. Cedric Wilson's a guy you can look to pick up as well for them. So, it's when one's out, it's one thing, but the 2 top guys for them are out. I think you made a huge difference. Zeke was banged up as well, but he did practice fully today. Mm-hmm. So that's something to keep an eye out for. But yeah, really out of the Cowboys camp right now, it's just question marks around CD. A.J. Brown for the Titans, he left. And I want to say it was like the third quarter. He injured his hand early on, left the game, came back, but then now he had a chest injury at the end of that game. He had x-rays yesterday. They said they were clear, but he was going to get more MRIs to see if there was anything that you could see a little bit more on that. So something to keep an eye out for, because if he's out, that offense is going to be looking very questionable. They did not look great this past week. Lost to Texans. Just a weird. Tannehill needs one of them.
Titans do. That's, if anything, gambling. That was the only thing we got right this weekend. Is the Texans were gonna. I didn't expect him to win, but they kept it close.
Yeah. So there's that. We got Trace McSorley. is whatever coming back. He signed with the Cardinals. Don't know why. I mean, Colt McCoy's looked fine. But that's something to keep an eye out for, especially with Murray almost played last week, so that's a good option for him this week. Hopkins, I don't know. He's still up in the air. But, I don't know. We got some interesting games coming up. Matt Nagy, rumor mill, might be out after Thursday's game,
Hopefully.
which would be awesome because Matt Nagy's a terrible football coach, but we'll see what really happens there. But outside of that, was there any other news?
I really don't think so.
Oh, they did come out. Jets, they are starting Zach Wilson again on Sunday. So he will be playing against the Texans, which I think this might be a good game for him to come back and try to reinsert himself. But Michael Carter, I guess, was the other injury this week.
2 to 3 weeks. Jamal Agnew is out for the remainder of 2021. I think the Texans cut Phil Lindsay.
He did. Yep,
So
they
it's just
cut.
David Johnson there right now. And then
They got
the Giants fired their offensive coordinator, Jason Garrett.
Jason Garrett, yeah, I saw that. Their offenses looked weird. Saquon came back last night. He didn't look terrible. It's just you're playing a really good Bucs team, and not much.
I don't know if you saw
there.
his video of the Giants of game last night. It was Dan Orlovsky, I think it was. But he showed an offensive play where 3 Giants wide receivers ran into each other in the middle of the field. That video was going around. It was bad.
Yeah, so trouble's up in New York. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see there what they're going to do with Joe Judge. I don't know. It's just a weird. Good news. Not a lot of people got hurt. I would expect Lamar, Hollywood, and everybody come back too. So those are the main concerns right now after this weekend. Not a lot of injuries, so that's good. So let's go ahead and jump right into some of the booms and busts for this week. This was a week we saw high quarterback play from, I would say, a lot of quarterbacks. Where, like, last week we had maybe, 3 that scored 20. I feel like we had a lot that scored 20, and then some that even peaked at 30 mark this week. Like, our number one boom for the week at quarterback, Justin Herbert. He had 36.2 points, 382 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. He did have an interception, but the big key here was he had 90 rush yards. And this was against a Steelers team that is losing, that has had injury troubles big time. They lost 6 guys, I think, off their starting defense. So he just took advantage of it, and I think the Chargers' offense looked a lot better on Sunday night than they have in the last couple weeks.
Yeah, they finally came back against the Steelers defense that was banged up, but it's still the Steelers defense, so putting up 41 points is a lot. Had a great game with the 3 passing touchdowns, and I think only one of them was to Eckler, right? Eckler had 3 rushing touchdowns?
No, he had 4 rushing touchdowns.
All 4, so he had...
I thought he had 4 rushing
Did he?
touchdowns.
Okay. So
one was Mike Williams.
that wouldn't make sense because that'd be 49
Did he
points.
have 2 of them?
I don't know. That's what... Let's see.
I know he had... Maybe he did have 2 receiving touchdowns. Or 1. I know Mike Williams had 1.
He had 2 receiving. 2 receiving, 2 rushing.
So then, so that was that with Herbert and them. He was making smarter plays, checking down to Eckler a lot. So
And running the ball too. That was something he hasn't done all season. Hasn't had over 29 rushing yards until that game. Really, you could even they said in the game that the Steelers were trying to, once he got a couple of runs, that they were trying to focus on him. They just didn't have the players to do that. He was able to get loose and then just really opened up that defense and was able to pass the ball around. Keenan Allen, great game. Michael Williams, a great game. Eckler, great game. So Steelers look back, kind of what I expect them to be. It's going to be them and the Chiefs in that division. And I expect to be the top of that AFC that no one wants to win right now.
yeah, the AFC's tough right now. But yeah, Herbert. I think the offense still has some work to do in order to kind of overcome and be that top dog in the AFC. But the defense looked a little bit better, but giving up 24 points in the fourth quarter was tough. So that's something to keep an eye out for. I do like Justin Herbert going forward. And it seems like he's realizing that maybe he's got to spread the ball out a little more to Mike Williams and Keenan Allen to kind of get back into his rhythm that he was in. So that was our number 1 boom quarterback. Number 2 boom quarterback here was Aaron Rodgers. 35.5 points, 385 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. He did have 1 fumble, but that was on a strip sack. So Aaron Rodgers was just this. I feel like this is the kind of game we expected this game to be a shootout, and he found MVS on a deep ball. He found Devonta Adams twice, going back to old reliable. Who was his third one? Fourth one too. Was this? No, it's that tight end, tight end thing. So to me, I don't know. Aaron Rodgers looks good. Looks a lot better than what he did last week. Full week of practicing him. I don't know. I feel like this is a performance you can see weekly. Packers look. To me, I still think they're one of the better teams in the NFC, but like we talked about, this is just what the Vikings do each week. They beat teams like this when they can't beat a bad team.
I think the Vikings are better than their record.
Oh, 100%.
They've had a lot of close games. The defense is just not good, but their offense was able to kind of find some holes on like Green Bay's defense and score and keep up and score as many points. Rodgers had only 23 completions, but had 4 touchdowns on that for 400 yards almost. So that's really good. A lot of deep passes. I just kind of expect the Green Bay Packers are still my number 1 favorite for out of the NFC. A couple of good teams coming out of there, but I still with Rodgers leading that offense, looking great, not really slowing down whatsoever. So I expect them to go against the Rams next week. Should be really fun to watch.
And so I think Rodgers, to point out for him, it's just like he was having I would say a down game, but he was having to run a lot and scramble and do everything. And see these type of numbers is just only positive for him. They did lose a left guard this past week, so that's something to keep an eye out for with the Rodgers and the Packers. But this is just what you expected out of Aaron Rodgers this year. I know his numbers have been down; they haven't been great. Same with Devonta Adams, but I feel like this is kind of when they start turning a corner, and you see Adams and Rodgers kind of come back to old form. So great to see him come back. Tough loss for them, but I expect Rodgers to continue to go, keep going up. And they had their bye week already, didn't they? Packers
They have the bye after the Rams.
13?
Yep.
Okay.
So
I thought they had a bye like week 7.
Yeah, they still have their bye.
So Rodgers, number 2 boom this week. Number 3 boom this week was Jalen Hurts. 30.7 points, 147 yards passing, 69 rush yards. The thing that really kept him alive was his 3 rushing touchdowns. And I'll tell you what, the Eagles have finally figured out, let's just run the ball.
Yep.
Take any chance of turnovers or anything through the air. Run the ball, and if we do throw it, let's make short, quick throws to guys like Devonta Smith and Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, they're really turned on. They finally figured it out. The Eagles just didn't look good at the beginning of the year. Really throwing the ball, a lot of turnovers, and you're just like, this team, maybe Jalen Hurts isn't it. Eagles are now starting to play the Jalen Hurts' strengths, where he's running the ball, had 18 rushes, the most he's had all season, and with those 3 touchdowns. So between that, having Miles Sanders back, he actually had a good game too, kind of going back and forth with them. And then when you need to pass, Devonta Smith, just get him the ball. He's a great wide receiver. I think he's going to be one of the best in the league down his career. So I believe just get him the ball, but then Jalen Hurts, just let him get him out of the pocket, let him run, let him RPO, something like that.
That's what we talk about all the time. The rookie receivers usually takes about half a year to kind of turn, and we've seen that out of Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith this year. He's made a big turn, and I think that's only benefited Jalen Hurts in the passing game because he's now got 2 reliable weapons in Goddard and Smith, and he's not throwing the ball to Watkins and everything. Now, what I want to see with Hurts in order for me to kind of get back on the Eagles train is he needs to be more efficient when he throws football. 147 yards. I get when you don't have to throw. It's great and you can run and score 3 touchdowns, but it's not going to be like this every week for him. So to me, it's a good week for him, but he's an average quarterback, great fantasy.
Yep.
Say that every week. Very average quarterback, great fantasy play though.
I want to add. So this is the schedule from 12 to 17.
Oh, it's bad.
Giants, Jets, bye. Football team, Giants, football team.
Yeah, that's why Miles Sanders, to me, I think is going to be a
big pickup,
key point for you going into the playoffs and everything. So that there rounds out our quarterback booms. Let's go ahead and move into our running back booms. Clear cut number 1. People are saying he's a league front runner right now for MVP. he took over the league leader in rushing. Jonathan Taylor, 54.4 points, 185 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns. He had 19 receiving yards on 3 catches with 1 touchdown as well.
Yep.
Huge performance against a defense that was ranked number 1 across the board. Shocked the world, I think. Honestly, kind of what happened this week was, I don't know. Nobody thought this was going to happen, and I think you were really high on Jonathan Taylor. I was high on the potential of Jonathan Taylor, but I think it's all now coming together, and they're finally trusting in Jonathan Taylor.
Yep. I didn't even predict this. I wouldn't expect it. He's the number 1 running back and actually took over that number 1 overall in PPR from Cooper Kupp this week as well. So he's the number 1 fantasy player.
Week, yeah. Till Kupp comes back next week.
Yeah, but then Jonathan Taylor has another. He is playing Tampa Bay, but hey, the running defense, it does not matter. They can
ran
find
him
it
32 times.
Yep, and
they're going to run the ball. They know the best. If they want to put Carson Wentz in this offense in a successful position, you have to get Jonathan Taylor rolling, and I think he's a guy. He's proven that he's their guy, and
yep.
I don't know. This to me was a huge week for him. 5 total touchdowns was crazy.
You can see that against worse
Texans
yeah, but against the number 1 running team so far. But to be honest, you did see Derrick Henry kind of run the ball on the Bills earlier. Well. So those dominant running backs are really not having anyone stop them at all this year. So I expect it to keep coming, even against the Bucs next week. They're just going to give them the ball. The Colts want to make a playoff run. Get in the playoffs, do some damage. This offense has to go through Jonathan Taylor. Has to.
And to be honest, you have the formula to compete with the Titans in your division with Jonathan Taylor. He's a guy who can take over games easily. He breaks off runs constantly. So to me, it's Jonathan Taylor, especially in the goal line, is crazy. So I think it's going to be he's a great play for the rest of the year, and I think it's a huge surprise, but number 1 boom this week, no surprise. He single-handedly won people weeks. So Jonathan Taylor, number 1. Number 2, Sunday afternoon games, we think, there's no way anyone can get close to eclipsing this. Then here comes Austin Eckler, who had a very average rushing day, 11 carries for 50 yards. But he had 2 touchdowns on the ground, and then he had 6 catches for 65 yards and 2 through the air. So 4 total touchdowns for the number 2 boom of the week. And this is huge coming for a guy who was struggling early this year. Last couple weeks. 99
out of 100 times, he's the number 1 running back when he scored 4 touchdowns. Yeah. But what Taylor did, he ends up number 2. But yeah, it was anytime they get close to the goal line right now, it's all Eckler. These touchdowns to Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and the tight ends, they've all been kind of longer passes because when they get into the red zone, that's when Eckler gets the ball. That's when he does the most damage. So I think that's to make Herbert great. He has to use Eckler as much as possible. Eckler will make him look good, and that'll open the field for the other 2 good wide receivers they have on the team. Plus, get those tight ends involved between Jared Cook and I can't think of his name.
Oh, Paymar. Something.
Yeah, he's been going to him, and I think Eckler just really opens the field for the Chargers, and that he's going to be their key. Just like Jonathan Taylor. The Chargers are better offensively, like a quarterback and wide receiver, but I still think Austin Eckler should be the focal point of this offense.
Yeah, he's to me, I think he's more of a safety blanket for Herbert, and I think we saw that this week. It wasn't like he was looking for Eckler the whole time. It was more looking down the field, waiting, going through every read, and then bam, let me hit a quick dump off. And Eckler's the type of guy who can take a quick dump off 10, 15 yards every time.
Yeah,
so
Herbert just doesn't make sure he doesn't force anything because he knows he has Eckler right there.
Yeah, so to me, it's just this is something I don't think the touchdowns will be like this every week because Austin Eckler is so small. And I will say, if you're playing a real healthy Pittsburgh Steelers defense, these numbers don't look like this. He might have 1 or 2.
It's a different game.
But it's completely different there. But yeah, Austin Eckler, he did what he had to against a bad team. So he is the number 2 boom. Number 3 boom, this is a guy who has continually made his way to the top of this list week in and week out. Deandre Swift with the Lions. He had 136 rush yards, 1 touchdown. 3 receptions but there was no yards. But he did break that one. I think it was like 60-plus yard touchdown run. So.
Yeah, 57. That was half his yards. Got that touchdown, and that was pretty much gave him the third place.
Yeah, this is something, but he's fully capable of doing that. Mm-hmm. Lions' best player by a landslide.
Yep.
You would think Hawkins can fit in there, but they're not even comparable. So I like Deandre Swift. To me, has become a dark horse player. If you have him drafted 3rd, 4th round, late second, early 3rd. He's a great pickup there, and I think this is something you're going to continue to see out of Swift throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah, with Williams kind of being banged up behind him. I don't know. Did Williams play?
No, they have a different backup in.
Yeah, so even with Williams in now, I still believe Swift will get majority of those snaps, and even with the backup quarterback right now, it's all Swift all the time. So
yeah, it's going to be Swift, I think, every time.
You give him the ball enough, he'll get those 60-yard touchdowns easily.
And Dan Campbell loves to run the football, so this is like no-brainer here. DeAndre Swift just continuing to dominate and do whatever. I would like to see him. He can easily get involved more in the passing game, but I think he's literally you look at if they're dropping back to pass, it's going Hawkinson or Swift, I think. So those two are the focal point. They're like, beat us with one of your other no-name guys from the outside. So that rounds out our top 3 running backs. Just number 1 overall week. Number 1 and 2 overall weeks were by running backs. So those were just givens. Let's go ahead and go to wide receivers then. Number 1 performer here, Jake Jetta, Justin Jefferson.
Jake Jetta.
8 receptions, 169 yards, 2 touchdowns. Huge game for Justin Jefferson, and it just caps off what you were This is what you were wanting out of him all year long, and we knew, we thought this game was going to be a shootout. This is exactly what it was, and it proved here again that Justin Jefferson is Kirk Cousins' probably favorite target.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson is just finding those holes in the field and just getting open for Kirk Cousins, and just making Kirk Cousins look a lot better. Because I know people are either you're with Kirk Cousins or you think he's a terrible quarterback, but when you have Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, these guys make Kirk Cousins look good, and that's what Justin Jefferson does. Number 5 wide receiver on the season now for PPR, and I expect him to stay around there. He does have 49ers, but then he goes to Detroit, and then at Pittsburgh, Chicago, Rams, and they've been kind of letting a lot of points against the wide receivers. So
I think you're going to continue to see this stuff go up. Especially, I think the offense moves better. Dalvin Cook's more efficient when they're able to throw the ball, and Justin Jefferson, they were more efficient when they can do the run. So it all bounces out in Minnesota, but this is a week that you expect out of Justin Jefferson each week. And I feel like the 2 touchdowns will happen, but he is a deep ball threat and will continue to be a deep ball threat, and no matter what. So, number 1, boom, right there for receiver. Number 2 this is 2nd week in a row being number 2, sneaking into the top. He's sneaking his way up. There's Elijah Moore, 31.6 points, 8 receptions, 141 yards, 1 touchdown. This is with Joe Flacco in there, quarterback. He talk about an ultimate second half rookie bump. He's having that right now.
Yeah, 3 straight games with the touchdown. First game with over 100 yards. He did have that really long pass, and so that kind of made up for some of it. But 11 targets, most he's had. That's looking like the number 1 guy there. This Jets offense is actually starting to kind of take form. Not going to be doing anything this year, but for the coming years, you have Zach Wilson. Hopefully he turns out, but then you got Elijah Moore and Michael Carter back there. The offense looks decent. You just got to get that offense aligned a little bit better, and then kind of get that defense. And I think this team should all come together because they do have studs around them. And Elijah Moore is the number 1 wide receiver there. I know Corey Davis is there, and I think Corey Davis is able to teach him some things, but I think talent level, Elijah Moore is a better wide receiver.
Elijah Moore's being a beneficiary from Corey Davis being on that team. Corey Davis could be number 1 receiver, but right now all the focus is on Corey Davis, and they're going to see if the rookie can beat him. And right now the rookie is. So I really like Elijah Moore. We were big on him at the beginning of the year. It just took him 8-9 weeks to get going. That's something to keep an eye out for, especially if Zach Wilson comes back. Do these numbers change? Do they continue to go? are the coordinators realizing they drafted this guy pretty high, so they need to start getting him involved in the offense. So a lot of question marks with Elijah Moore going the rest of the year, but I'm excited. I like to see what he's developed into. So he's our number 2 bust. Our boom, number 3 boom this week, Devonta Adams, 7 receptions, 115 yards, 2 touchdowns. No shocker to see this man up here in the top 3.
Yeah, first 100-yard game since week 5, so it's been kind of quiet for him. I know he's still been getting a lot of targets. Only had 8 this week, but with those 2 touchdowns, long plays against the bad Minnesota defense, him and Rodgers are always on the same point.
Yep.
So they not surprised at all that he's in the top 3.
Yeah, it's pretty much become Devontae. I feel like you have to just expect this each week to hopefully happen. It's clear cut number 1 there. No thoughts about it. He's had a much slower year compared to last year, but I think as the year continues to progress, his numbers will continue to look something like this for the rest of the year. So Devonta Adams, number 3, wide receiver boom of the week. First time in a while that he's been in here. So that rounds out our wide receivers. Let's go to tight end then. We got number 1 play here was Zach Ertz, 28.8 points, 8 receptions, 88 yards, 2 touchdowns. Zach Ertz just put up a huge game. Was really the benefactor of red zone looks from Colt McCoy. Almost had a third one late in the game as well. And I feel like it's a blessing for him to be back in Arizona, away from Philly. He would not be putting this up right now. But he's working his way into a must-start kind of tight end spot right now.
Yeah, he really is. Right now, everyone's really focused on James Conner when you get into the red zone, so I think that's what's opening up Zach Ertz with having Hopkins out. And then Kirk and Green haven't been really big red zone targets, so when everyone's focused on James Conner, that's when Zach Ertz becomes a big option in that red zone, and Colt McCoy loves him down there.
Yeah, so I feel like you can continue to see these numbers grow, especially like you said, with James Conner being as dominant as what he's been in the red zone. A lot of play action passes are going to open up for Zach Ertz. So that's something to keep an eye out for in the future. But yeah, he number 1 tight end this week, number 2 tight end, no shock. Travis Kelsey, 18.8 points, just an average week for him. 5 catches, 74 yards. He found the way his end zone, like first drive, rushing touchdown. So no surprise seeing him here. It's just
honestly not much to say. Like 18 points, average, still number 1 tight end. It's just
he just consistently puts up points.
8 targets, 5 catches. Yeah, it's just kind of how it goes.
So Travis Kelsey number 2, number 3. Darren Waller found his way back here. 7 receptions, 116 yards. Just couldn't find the end zone this week, but I think if the Raiders ever want to be successful for the rest of the year, it all goes through this guy right here, Darren Waller.
Yeah, high snap count since week 1. Had 8 targets, 7 catches, over 100 yards finally since week 1 as well. So the past 3 weeks he's had 26 targets. So it looks like since the bye they're really trying to get him the focal point of that offense now. I know they try to run the ball, but Darren Waller's their best player. They need to get him involved. It's Derek Carr's safety blanket, I believe, so if they want to have any success on offense, get this losing streak turned back around, it needs to go through Darren Waller.
That's what I agree. I think if they want any success, Hunter Renfro's nice. He's a good slot guy, but he's not the type of playmaker ability that Darren Waller is. So, if they want to see any success, it's got to be turned to him, and Derek Carr needs to just go back to rely on him. So that rounds out our booms for the week. Now let's go through some of the busts. Interesting week here.
You could probably have 5 or 6.
Yeah, you could pick pretty much anyone. It might not even be solely points even all the time either with this. But let's just go ahead and knock out 1 and 2 for quarterbacks right now. We'll talk about them together. Dak Prescott, 2.6 points, terrible performance, 216 yards, 2 interceptions, 1 fumble. And Mahomes with 7.5 points, 260 yards, 1 interception, 1 fumble. This game was just hard to watch for me, especially being a Dak owner. He looked terrible. The offense looked terrible. They couldn't block. He was getting sacked, pressured every second. It was just, one of the interceptions Dak threw was not his fault. It went right through the hands of who's the guy that looks just like CeeDee Lamb?
It's I see some
Wilson.
Brown. No, Wilson's smaller. I thought it was
That's
something
Cedric.
Brown.
It could be, but yeah. So it's just I don't know. It's tough. Dak's not he didn't look great this week at all. Just the Chiefs' defense got after him, and then Mahomes still.
Yeah, no.
He
Brown.
doesn't look great. He just looks average. Mahomes is just, I don't know, the offense looks better, but to me it's still not great. I wouldn't say the Chiefs are fully back by any means like everybody thinks because they won this game 19-9. They won this game because of defense. It wasn't because of the offense. So, to me, I don't know. Dak, I feel like Thursday will have a huge bounce-back game against the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Mahomes, he can easily put up 35 at any point, but I don't know, just huge disappointing weeks. Probably, and I know for sure Dak lost a lot of people leagues.
Yep, over-under was 56, and only 28 points were scored. Yeah, these offenses aren't looking great right now. Cowboys are they put a lot of points against the Falcons, but the week before against the Broncos, I think they just need to go back to establishing the run. I think that it needs to go through Zeke like they used to, and now open up CeeDee Lamb and Cooper when they're back on the field. But for the Chiefs, that offense still doesn't look good. And for the people that say that they're back, I think they're just kind of getting lucky and catching people on bad weeks. I think that defense is kind of starting to figure it out, though, so they're able to stop. But I think they're just kind of catching people on the wrong week, and they're getting kind of lucky about it. But that offense still does not look great. No. They got Clyde back. They used him a lot. He looked okay.
Yeah.
But still, 19 points when you have Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, you have all those weapons and just can't score.
Yeah, so, I don't know. This whole week was just, crumple a ball up and throw it away. Forget about this performance. But, yeah, Dak, just huge disappointment. I think not having Cooper played a huge effect in that game. Mm-hmm. I don't think people realize how much attention Amari Cooper still gets from defenses because he is, you could say CeeDee Lamb might be the focal point, but without Amari Cooper, we saw CeeDee is not CeeDee. Mm-hmm. It's just tough. So both those guys, top 1 and 2 this week, bad, not great weeks. Mahomes didn't really do much. I guess he really didn't have to, just kind of turn and rely on your defense. But so those are 1 and 2. Number 3. Russell Wilson, 8.48 points, 207 yards. That's it. That's the stat line. I think there needs to be a breakup party between Wilson and the Seahawks.
I was going to say, is he still hurt or is he?
I don't think so. No, he's got all this. The doctors have never seen his fingers great, perfectly healthy. It's a miraculous miracle. He made it back this fast.
He looks terrible now.
Yeah, I don't know.
The whole offense looks bad.
You can't make that corny video and suck this much.
Yeah.
To me, I just feel like, I don't know. What has really Russell Wilson done? Outside the defense is winning him a couple Super Bowls.
He'll have great first 5 weeks. Yeah, I don't know. He can be added to that overhyped QBs,
I think.
But he also has the ring too. So
yeah,
I don't know. He's always been a good quarterback. He's never been he has had great games, but he's never had.
He can put on performances where he can run, do whatever. But to me, I just feel like he needs to be out of Seattle, or Pete Carroll needs to be done. This game is just gross. It's just disgusting watching him anymore. But. So, yeah, Russell Wilson, third boom of bust of the week. Wow, not even close to a boom. I don't know. It affects everything. You're looking at DK, who should be a top 10 receiver. He's not even close to that. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens there in Seattle over the next couple of weeks. And then let's move to running backs here. Number 1 bust, I think was a huge bust. Deonte Foreman, you're against 5 points, 25 rush yards, 15 receiving yards, 1 reception against a really bad Texans team. This was his time to take over a game, and he just underperformed very much.
Yeah, it was. I actually started in one league because I thought
me too.
It was going to be all him. Adrian Peterson was kind of put back, not surprised by his cut from today, just how much they weren't using him. And it's not a Foreman problem. It was almost just a whole Titans problem.
There's just
4 turnovers by Tannehill. Couldn't get anything going on offense. And it was just bad.
T?
Did I say Ryan T?
No, that's what they're calling him.
Oh,
Ryan T. Like Ryan Tannehill. R-I-N-T. Yeah,
that's pretty good.
You'll pick up on it one day, kid. But yeah, I don't know. This was a disappointing performance. I feel like you looked at Foreman last week, you saw the workload that he got, and you kind of were hoping for it again against a bad Texans team.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, the whole team in general was disappointment, but this was a huge disappointment. I feel like a lot of people picked him up or like, oh, this will be a great plug and play this week, but it ended up not being. So that's the number one bust at running back. Number two bust, Jeff Wilson, 6.8 points, 50 rush yards, 8 receiving yards on 1 reception. Disappointing week for him for sure, especially seeing that Debo had 79 rush yards, taking a lot of carries.
Yep.
I was expecting kind of Jeff Wilson to take over, score a touchdown, be that main guy there, which he was mainly the main guy, him and Debo.
The thing is, if Jimmy G hits
It's
him on
when
that
he's
wide
wide
open,
open,
it's
yeah.
a different story. He has
12 points.
13 points, almost around what you projected, what you expected.
Mm-hmm.
He has a 20 carries, so it's kind of exactly what I thought he would have. I started him in one league, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
Debo got all the nice runs. Jeff Wilson couldn't get anything open, and then when he was that wide open, Jimmy G just could not.
He just missed him.
Hit him.
So, yeah, I mean, I feel like at any point, Jeff Wilson you could plug and play just because of Kyle Shanahan loves to run running backs over and over again. So it's just something to keep an eye out for. Steve Samuel just happened to be the one who scored the rushing touchdown, so that's something to keep an eye out for. Number 3, bust of the week, and this we kind of predicted he'd have a slower week. That was Michael Carter, 7.5 points. 63 rush yards, 2 receiving yards, 1 reception. He did get hurt, low ankle sprain, but like out of Michael Carter, you're hoping for more against a bad Dolphins team.
Yep.
But I don't know. Michael Carter's gonna be fine. He's the only bright spot right now for the Jets outside of him and Moore until Wilson kind of comes up. It's really just you're looking at those 2 rookies, and as a Jets fan, you're happy. Kind of what you're seeing right now.
Yeah, you can't. He's going to be out 2 to 3 weeks, so you're just wanting him to get healthy. You're going to have one of these bad games every once in a while. He wasn't getting the targets. He was getting like many targets for running back and just didn't get him this week.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just because it was before he got injured, they just weren't really looking to him. So
yeah,
you expected more, but with the injury, it's kind of hard to tell.
Especially with old Joe back there. You're hoping he gets a little bit more. So, that rounds out our bust for running backs. Let's go to our bust for wide receivers. Kind of touch point on this. CeeDee Lamb, that's solely, I think, it has a lot to do with Dak being terrible, the offense just being bad, and the fact that he got hurt in right at half.
Right at halftime. Yeah, the play before half just got...
Yeah, on the pick, someone laying on him. Smoked his head on the ground, so he had 4.4 points. He had 3 receptions and 14 yards, and that was it. Quick day for CeeDee Lamb. Just Cowboys were just bad.
But when you expect, like, he's wide receiver number 12, and he's probably your number 1 or 2 wide receiver, and he gets hurt like that, it's tough for the week.
Yes, real tough. So I don't know. When he comes back, he should be fine.
Yeah.
And I don't think he'll play Thursday, but
I don't think so either.
If he does, he'll have a good week because it's the Raiders who aren't great against the pass. But I think if you give him this week off, they come back next week, you get Cooper back as well. Expect CeeDee to reinsert into that role that we knew he could do. Next guy here who I think's had the last 2 disappointing weeks, that's Brandon Cooks. 2 receptions, 18 yards, 3.8 points, just...
Super weird from how good the Texans did.
I know, and I know the rain and everything, it was terrible weather in Tennessee, but to me it's just like, we expected Brandon Cooks to go back to his old role when Tyrod was there and having like 8 catches, 125 yards, maybe a touchdown or no touchdown, but just putting up weeks like that. And he's non-existent this week. I guess you could say he really didn't need to be, but just a bad week for Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, Tyler Taylor only threw the ball 24 times, but only 3 of them to Brandon Cooks. It's very, very weird when Brandon Cooks has been the number 1 target on that team by far. And it's just one of those weeks, I guess. I don't know. It's very weird when you see a Texans team win and Brandon Cooks is a non-factor.
Yeah, so I'm sure he'll have a bounce back. And hopefully with Tyrod, they look a lot better with Tyrod than they did with
yes,
whoever that guy was. I forgot his name. But yeah, so that was our second boom, our third bust, Michael Pittman. 4.3 points, 2 receptions, 23 yards. Didn't really need to throw the ball when you were just running the ball all over the place. And let's be honest, they had a lot of short yardage situations. So there wasn't much you could do there for him. So that is our booms and busts for this week. Do you have anything to add on old Michael Pittman?
No, not really, just because how great of a game that was. Coming into this week, he had 3 weeks, he had 20 catches, and kind of the same thing with Brandon Cooks. You're just going to have one of those down weeks, especially when you're running back scoring 5 touchdowns. And also a lot of that was to do with the Bills giving the ball in great territory to the Colts to where they could just run the ball in. It wasn't like the Colts were starting on the 20 and had to throw their way down the field. And they got the ball real close. And so I'm not looking into it kind of CeeDee Lamb, even though Pittman didn't get hurt. Just not worried about it. Just one of those down weeks.
That's what we kind of – you could see this coming. The Bills are solid against the pass, so it's something you could see happening. But, yeah, that round – then that's it. That's our booms and busts. You just want to do a quick little preview. I know we won't have anything for, like, the Thursday night games, but we go through them a little bit, give picks, talk about.
We can give our picks if you want.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so the first game, let this load up here for a second.
The first game is Lions and
the Lions, Bears at the Lions, Lions +3, over under 41.5.
This game with Andy, you got Andy Dalton versus possible Tim Boyle.
Yep.
Goff might be back. I want to say, I feel like if the rumors are true and this is Nagy's last game, he's going to do everything he can to win this game and go out on top. I'll take Bears -3 against the Lions, but I could also see Lions winning this game.
I'm going Lions +3 under 41.5. This is going to be 17-14, 17-15 game, something like that. So I'm going Lions +3. I'm going under 41.5.
Yeah. You got like one guy who's become an instant must start is Darnell Mooney, especially with Robinson not playing. He's there. You worry about T.J. Hawkinson. He kind of has disappeared, but yeah, that game it's gonna be a weird one. It's not gonna be what you expect at all. I guarantee it.
And then second game, we have Raiders at the Cowboys. Cowboys -7.5, over under 51.
Cowboys at home, Thanksgiving Day. Always a big game for the Cowboys. Coming off an embarrassing loss. Do you think this kind of improvement game like they had not this past week with the Chiefs, but last week? Or do you think without Cooper and Lamb, they struggle again?
I think it might be a little bit of a struggle. I think the Raiders are going to have to come out and compete too, just to stay in the wild card race. So I'm actually liking Raiders +7.5 right now, just because
that's a lot of points.
Yeah, it is a lot, and I think if the Raiders' offense can get going a little bit, Cowboys, I know they scored a lot against the Falcons, but short week, you might be out with your 2 top wide receivers, Zeke a little beat up. I think it's going to be a close game. I think the Cowboys are probably going to win this, maybe on a last-second field goal.
What's the over/under for this game?
51.
That's a lot of points.
Yep.
I would say if it was like 47, I think I'd take the over there.
Yep.
Even 51, you might flirt with the over this week, but I just don't know how much the Cowboys can score without Lamb and Cooper. I think the main guy to look for here is, like you said, Michael Gallup, big pickup week. If both of them out, Cedric Wilson's a play, and then I think Dalton Schultz is a must-start tight end this week without either one of them. And then Raiders, you're looking at pretty much just Jacobs and Waller. And then Renfro has become kind of a must-start flex play. So those guys are something to keep an eye out for. And then the last
one, we have Bills at the Saints. Saints +6, over under 45.
I don't know why the Bills are favored by so much. I know the Saints aren't great. One concerning thing is Kamara did not practice again, and neither did Ingram today. So
that's what I was going to say. I'm waiting to bet this and see until I see an injury report. I'm actually going Saints +6 right now, but that's with one of those running backs playing. But other than that, I'm not really touching this game until I see the injury report.
No, this game's
over/under. When it shows me over/under 45, so Vegas tell me Bills aren't going to score a lot of points.
I'll take that over.
So It could be a good over. I'm going to be looking at that too. So this game I'm not touching until we get closer.
Yeah, it's a weird game for sure. Especially like the Bills are they're such a confusing team right now. They have weeks where they dominate and then weeks where they do what they did last week. So you're pretty much, I mean, Saints, you're not really starting anybody outside of Kamara and probably Ingram.
Yep.
Marquez Callaway, you can't trust him. You never know what he's going to do. Harris is and you can throw him in to see. Like, Bills-wise, it's Diggs and Allen right now. Knox, I think, is a must-start.
Yeah,
he's
for a tight end. Sanders has really dropped the ball. Can't really start him
he
anymore.
He hasn't done much. Beasley was terrible last week.
Not starting either running back. So, yeah, it's offense. Both offenses don't have a lot of fantasy going on, but
what I want to see the Bills do in the draft is draft a running back so they can kind of...
They have to get a running back there. Yeah. Zach Moss, Singletary, they're not it. They
can't keep relying on Josh Allen to throw the ball 40 times a game and expect to win. Like, he's going to have... He's still his third year in the league, so... there's that one. This one, I don't know. The over I'm touching, I don't know yet about the spread. I think it's a weird spread.
I think
I'm going to wait to see what Kamara...
It's going to move once you hear the Kamara news. I can see that going to 5 or 4 with Kamara in.
Playing, I think, yeah.
And then if he's not playing, it could move to like 7, 8.
People are going to look at what Jonathan Taylor just did and think Kamara... I mean, Kamara's fully capable of doing anything. Yep. So it's going to be interesting to see what that line moves to. So, yeah, I'm not touching that one, but I don't know. I feel like we have... Like, these are some like, give us some good games on Thanksgiving.
I know.
I get the Bears, Lions need to play every year, whatever. But give me Cowboys and someone other than the Raiders. And then Bills, Saints. The Saints aren't the Saints.
No, it's not the past Saints. It's not Drew Brees.
So we need something else here. But that is all we have here for our Booms and Busts episode. We'll catch you on the next one, which is our Week 12 preview. We do those in 2 parts. First one will be just half the games. We'll go over them, give just each one, and then the second episode will be, and that's when we give our college football picks. Mm-hmm. Then the next one will be our, it'll just be the rest preview. That's where we give our must starts and then fade for each position. So we actually had some pretty solid choices there this past week. Some guys overperformed, some were kind of bust, but it is what it is. Can't be perfect every week, but yeah. So keep an eye out for that. But other than that, we appreciate all the support. If you're on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We appreciate everything we can get out of that. And if you do watch and you're new, just comment. Let us know what you think. We're trying to make each episode shorter, kind of try to keep it to this 30-40 range. Yep. And sometimes they go over just it is what it is, depending on news. So other than that, we appreciate all the support, and we'll catch you on the next one.
See ya.
Deuces.